Russian missile strikes on Ukraine, a night of terror and chaos. A deadly wave of Russian missiles has shattered Ukraine, with Kyiv's drones wreaking havoc on Moscow's airports. As the sun set over the capital, Ukrainian officials reported 450 missiles and drones striking the region overnight, leaving a trail of destruction across 3 locations. While most were intercepted, 23 projectiles struck, with debris landing in 12 areas, according to Ukraine's Air Force. The attack triggered nationwide air raid warnings, with at least 2 fatalities and 16 injuries reported in the past 24 hours. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strikes as an assault on humanity, citing a kindergarten fire and damaged residential buildings as grim reminders of civilian suffering. In Kyiv, the alert was raised at 11 p.m. local time and remained active for 8 hours, killing 1 person and injuring 6, police said. Residents described the city as trembling under explosions, with one man recalling a 4th blast that sent glass shards flying and ignited a blaze on his balcony. His wallet, filled with cash and documents, was destroyed in the fire, leaving him with just $50. His mother, Lilia Berdachevska, lashed out at Russia, calling it monsters and lamenting that her granddaughter wasn't home. Elsewhere in Kyiv, Katerina, a resident, rushed to Lukyanivska subway station for shelter as the attack damaged the entrance. She recounted the chaos of smoke and dust, saying, "We all got scared, but we learned to cope. We cared for each other and our pets." Fires broke out on rooftops and in a supermarket in Darnitsky district, while similar incidents occurred in Shevchenkivsky and Dniprovsky districts. In Kharkiv, city mayor Ihor Terekov reported 12 strikes, including a blaze near a residential building. Meanwhile, windows were shattered, and roads suffered damage. Russia's Air Force confirmed the attack included cruise missiles, ballistic weapons, and advanced Kinzhal systems, which are notoriously hard to intercept. Moscow's overnight strikes have intensified, targeting cities far from the front lines, with a recent operation involving 728 drones and 13 missiles. Kyiv's forces continue to strike deep inside Russia, forcing thousands of passengers to queue or sleep on floors at Moscow airports due to flight disruptions. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin noted 49 drones were down between Friday and Monday, with no injuries, while others were intercepted in Kursk, Rostov, and other regions. Ukrainian President Zelensky urged talks this week to push for a ceasefire amid U.S. pressure on Russia, while Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov emphasized Russia's readiness to negotiate but stressed its primary goal was securing its objectives. The last ceasefire talks in Istanbul ended abruptly in early June, with delegates meeting for less than an hour before departing. Russia's preconditions for a ceasefire included maximalist territorial demands, a stance Ukraine has rejected, insisting it won't consider territorial concessions for peace. As the conflict escalates, the question remains, will diplomacy prevail, or will the war continue to reshape the region? Escalating drone strikes between Russia and Ukraine as ceasefire talks loom. Amidst the escalating chaos, the skies over Ukraine and Russia have become battlegrounds for an intense aerial war, with both nations deploying drones in unprecedented numbers. As the world watches, the possibility of renewed ceasefire talks looms large, but tensions remain high. But here's where it gets controversial: are these drone strikes merely a prelude to peace talks, or are they a strategic escalation to gain leverage? Let's dive deeper into the latest developments. In London, the latest round of major overnight drone exchanges underscores the growing intensity of the conflict. Both Russia and Ukraine are pushing the boundaries, with each side aiming to enhance its long-range drone capabilities. The Russian Defense Ministry reported on Monday that its forces had downed 107 Ukrainian drones across 7 different regions, including 28 in the Moscow area alone. This comes just days after Ukrainian forces claimed to have shot down 221 drones in a single day, marking the highest daily total since June 6. The impact of these strikes extends beyond the skies. In Russia, disruptions at major airports have become a recurring theme. According to reports by Artem Koronyako, a spokesperson for Russia's Federal Aviation Agency Rosaviatsia, temporary flight restrictions were imposed at several airports, including Moscow's Zhukovsky, Sheremetyevo, and Domodedovo, as well as Strigino International Airport in Nizhny Novgorod, located approximately 240 miles east of the capital. On the Ukrainian front, the situation is equally grim. Kyiv faced another wave of explosions, resulting in at least 1 fatality and 9 injuries. The damage was widespread, affecting 6 city districts and impacting residential buildings, a supermarket, a kindergarten, and warehouse facilities. The Lukyanivska metro station, a nightly refuge for many Kyiv residents, also suffered damage. President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized the severity of the situation, stating that 8 regions across Ukraine had been affected, with a total of 2 fatalities and 15 injuries reported. In a series of Telegram posts, Zelensky highlighted the need to intensify Ukraine's defensive and offensive drone capabilities. He stressed that all requirements for Army aviation, the Air Force, and urban protection units must be met, and called for a significant increase in drone operations against Russian targets. The numbers speak volumes. In July alone, Russia has launched 4,929 drones and 148 missiles into Ukraine, averaging around 234 drones and 7 missiles daily. This follows June's tally of 5,438 drones and 239 missiles, with an average of 181 drones and nearly 8 missiles per day. In May, Russia's tally was 3,835 drones and 117 missiles, averaging about 124 drones and nearly 4 missiles daily. While Ukraine's drone attacks are on a smaller scale, their intensity appears to be increasing. In July, Russia's defense ministry reported downing 2,303 Ukrainian drones, averaging 109 per day. This compares to June's 2,368 drones, with an average of nearly 79 per day, down from May's 3,611 drones, averaging 116 per day. Amidst this backdrop, Zelensky has called for new talks with Russia to seek a ceasefire, ending Moscow's full-scale invasion that began in February 2022. He expressed optimism about upcoming meetings with the Russian side, emphasizing the need for increased negotiation pace and transparency. The Kremlin's response to external pressures, such as President Donald Trump's ultimatum for a ceasefire within 50 days or face sanctions, has been measured. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov acknowledged Trump's rhetoric while confirming his commitment to contributing to a peaceful resolution. Peskov also hinted at the complexity of the process, suggesting that more groundwork needs to be done before any major agreements can be reached. As we stand at the precipice of potential peace talks, one question looms large: can these negotiations bring an end to the relentless cycle of violence? Or will the recent surge in drone strikes be seen as a precursor to further escalation? Only time will tell, and the international community watches with bated breath. Chaos at Moscow airports. Ukrainian drone attacks disrupt travel. Picture this: the skies over Moscow transformed from transit corridors into war zones overnight, leaving tens of thousands of ordinary travelers stranded in sheer chaos. That's the stark reality unfolding right now as Ukrainian drone strikes unleash havoc across Russia's busiest airports. The dramatic scene unfolded on Monday, July 21, when coordinated Ukrainian drone attacks threw Moscow's aviation network into disarray. Russian media outlets captured the fallout in vivid detail. Thousands of passengers found themselves trapped in endless lines or forced to sleep on cold airport floors after widespread flight cancellations and delays. At Sheremetyevo Airport, Russia's busiest passenger hub, shocking videos revealed exhausted travelers bedding down amidst sprawling queues as normal operations collapsed. But here's where the scale becomes staggering: Russia's defense ministry reports intercepting 117 drones during the overnight assault alone, including 30 directly over the Moscow region. This comes just one day after an even larger wave, a record 172 drones destroyed nationwide, with another 30 bearing down on Moscow. In response, Russia's civil aviation authority, Rosaviatsia, took drastic action, slapping temporary flight restrictions on all 4 of Moscow's primary airports: Sheremetyevo, Vnukovo, Domodedovo, and Zhukovsky. The ripple effects were immediate and far-reaching. And this is the part most overlooked: the crisis extended far beyond Moscow. Thousands of passengers got stranded in Russia's Far East when flights from European Russia were axed. Authorities even deployed extra trains to rescue travelers from St. Petersburg, an extreme measure highlighting the nationwide disruption. Considering Moscow's metropolitan area houses over 21.5 million people, these attacks didn't just disrupt travel, they paralyzed the heart of Russia's most populous region. Now, let's confront the uncomfortable question everyone's avoiding: while Ukraine defends these strikes as legitimate wartime actions, the deliberate targeting of civilian aviation infrastructure forces a moral reckoning. When does strategic warfare cross into unacceptable collective punishment of ordinary citizens? Does disabling airports serving millions advance military goals, or simply inflict maximum civilian distress? We're opening the floor. Do you see these airport strikes as justified resistance tactics or unacceptable escalation? Voice your perspective in the comments. We're genuinely curious where our readers stand on this complex ethical line.